feeling than winning early on a weekend, because you can relax, enjoy the rest of your weekend with a smug look on your face and watch everybody else's fan base go into meltdown. Chelsea have been into meltdown in recent seasons, but this season, they look to have just clicked. Today, it was just beautiful. A brilliant performance from Chelsea, their best of the season, as they beat West Ham at the London Stadium 3-0. And I think the biggest positive out of all this game was a clean sheet. I think Chelsea fans have been dying for that, and a performance like this was exceptional. Collectively, they were crisp, they trusted each other in possession, they were brave in possession, they were solid out of possession. Chelsea dominated that game for 80%. 80% of that, you were in dreamland. You were in gear 3, just controlling the tempo of the game. Actually, I would say about 85 to 90% of that game, Chelsea were in full control. West Ham had their moments. That happens. It's Premier League football. Every team, every game that you play in, the opposition will have their moments. But how Chelsea dealt with their moments was extremely positive. So let's start about talking about Chelsea as a collective. As a collective, they were exceptional. You can clearly see exactly what Enzo Maresca's ideology, his philosophy is on this team, and his standpoint is starting to show. The ability to play through the lines, the ability to trust each other in possession, that crisp, clean sense of passing, just fizzing the ball about. But what was the best thing about this was Chelsea's movement. Movement is the biggest part of football. I say this and I will die on this hill. The majority of footballers have a technical ability. That's why they're footballers. When you win games and when you dominate games, it's all about movement and chemistry in that team. From minute one, Chelsea were on it today. West Ham could not cope with Chelsea's intensity, their vision, their clarity in possession, their ability to take care of possession. West Ham just couldn't cope. Mind, I was surprised. I was surprised that West Ham started with a back three. I think that played into Chelsea's hands massively. But instead of looking at West Ham's flaws, let's look at Chelsea's positives. Now, Sanchez in goal has surprised me these past two games. I think, again, he was outstanding today and deserves his flowers. He was commanding in the box. He made saves when he needed to. He was comfortable in possession. He played out when he needed to. He went long when he needed to. His decision-making on the ball for a goalkeeper was brilliant, and he commanded his areas. In those moments where West Ham were not on top, I don't want to say on top, but creating their moments, Sanchez looked calm and composed, and you need to give him his flowers. Then we had Tosin come in at centre-back to play alongside Colwell, and I thought the two of them struck up a brilliant partnership. I think Tosin done what he had to do. He was brilliant without being overdoing it. He was brilliant. He was composed in possession. He was strong, kept his shape well. And that's another thing I want to touch on about Chelsea. They kept the shape extremely well. They made it difficult for West Ham. And the one thing that I've noticed about Chelsea this season before today was their distance. I didn't like it defensively. Now, in simplistic terms, Maresca liked 5 going forward and 5 staying back in transition moments, defensively and offensively. Now, against Bournemouth, against Crystal Palace, I felt like the gap was too much. But today, they were a lot more compact, and it made it extremely difficult for West Ham. And I think the key to that was Moises Caicedo. I think he was absolutely outstanding today. And there's an argument to say, although Jackson was outstanding, got 2 goals and an assist, Moises Caicedo bossed that game. He was clean in possession. He was determined out of possession. He was crisp. He was sharp. He was press resistant. He was a battler. He broke up everything West Ham done. He was magnificent. I mean, his numbers speak for themselves. 8 tackles, 10 out of 13 ground duels won, 3 out of 3 aerial duels won. couple of clearances, couple of block shots. He intercepted the ball. He completed the majority of his passes. He had an assist. He created a big chance. 2 out of 5 long balls, 1 out of 2 crosses. He literally done everything. Do you know what reminded me of? Now, I'm not going to put him on this pedestal because he's not there yet, but it reminded me of a N'Golo Kante-like performance. He was everywhere in that pitch. He was dominant. He was physical. He was determined. And he just bossed West Ham's midfield. And that's the biggest positive I can give to any player. When you stand out inside of a good team, and when you're one of the best players inside of a team where nobody was bad, you know you're doing something right. He was outstanding. So he was outstanding. Today, Chelsea just clicked, man. Chelsea just clicked. And there's a couple of reasons why I think the chemistry and movement was on point. When Caicedo come and got the ball, Enzo Fernandez just facilitated the pockets of space to enable to play through the lines and vice versa. Cucurella just coming inside when he needed to. I thought Fofana right back, he wasn't outstanding, but he was good. He was brilliant. He was solid. I thought Noni had a bit of an off day, but he worked hard out of possession, which is exactly what you want. I thought Jadon Sancho was key to Nicolas Jackson. If you watch Jadon Sancho's movement, he was a touchline winger today. And I think that just created the space for, although Cole Palmer wasn't Cole Palmer, and I knew he wouldn't be because I thought West Ham tactics would be to stop the supply to Cole Palmer, even though he got on the score sheet, even though he wasn't the Cole Palmer we know, which is still outstanding. I thought Sancho acting as a touchline winger just allowed Jackson's movement to be more fluid. The space opened up for him, and boy, did Jackson deliver. He was extremely clever in his movement. You've got to think this is a player that has never grown up playing this role. He didn't learn this role growing up through the years. This role's still new to him. And now that he's nailed on that movement, that just shows his football IQ. And I'm going to say it, he was exceptional today. So if you look at Jackson's heat map, he exploited that space that Jadon Sancho created. It was all in tangent, and that's exactly what you want. So you can clearly see that Enzo Maresca's worked on this partnership on the training pitch, and it's starting to blossom into something special during games. Now, did you see that performance from Jackson, though? He held up the ball well when he needed to. He brought others into play. And what I liked about him the most with his two-way movement, coming short, collecting the ball, spinning back, and exploiting the space he's just created. And that's how he delivered his second goal. Now, one thing I will say, it was a beautiful pass by Moises Caicedo, but the finish was beautiful. Through on goal, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And do you know the difference? You know the difference? He didn't think about it. He took his shot early, which caught the goalkeeper off guard. That I want to see more of that. Going with your instincts, Jackson. Taking that shot early. The earlier you take that strike, the less time the goalkeeper has to position himself and to react. It was a beautiful goal by beautiful performance from Jackson. Now, the final player I want to touch upon is Jadon Sancho. I thought he played such an intelligent game. And here's why. Because he knows he can't beat Wan-Bissaka for pace. That's obvious. Wan-Bissaka is one of the quickest players in the Premier League. When you're keeping up with Kyle Walker, and when you're not keeping up with Kyle Walker, when you're having the sprint speed proven to keep up with Kyle Walker, then you know you're rapid. So Jadon Sancho was more ball manipulating and space manipulating. He was enticing opponents out of their position and just using his manipulation to bring them out of the game. And I said it in my pre-match review. I said that this is the game Jadon Sancho needs to play. He needs to be composed on the ball. He doesn't need to look in to get him behind. Leave that for Jackson. What he needs to do is create that space. And that's exactly what he did. I said this would happen. I said that's how you break down West Ham. And this is exactly what happened. But yeah, that's a fun dream performance from Chelsea. I can't lie. Like, it made us smile just to see these players clicking, because for me, every single player in Chelsea's squad is likable. There's not one player there that's like not likable. And when you've got the squad depth to bring on João Felix, to bring on Pedro Neto, to bring on Christopher Nkunku, that is insane when you think about it. When you think about the level of talent just on the bench at Chelsea today, and the level of talent that was on the bench for Chelsea at Bournemouth or against Crystal Palace, then if a player is having an off day, because that's going to happen, when you're bringing on force like this, there's no reason why Chelsea can't be this fluid every single. But although I absolutely loved the offensive output, what I liked the most about this game is the resilience and the willingness to get back into shape, to close the space, and not allow West Ham to come out in that high press. Just caused West Ham a lot of trouble. Now I'm sick of the media just talking about what's going on about Chelsea behind the scenes, talking about their ownership, talking about how many players have got. I haven't even got that many players. That's what the most frustrating thing about all this is, that Enzo Maresca clearly stated he wants a squad of 22 players and he's going to work with that squad. That's why we're not seeing Chukwuemeka, unfortunately, in the team, because he wants to keep it little. So the media are just building up this perception that Chelsea have got a million players, and other fan bases are just thriving on that, and it's not exactly true. So what I want to see moving forward from the media is talking about what's happening on the pitch, because if Chelsea perform like that, it's going to be hard to ignore it. Now, there's absolutely no reason why Chelsea can't get top four now, in my opinion. They've got the talent, they've got the playing style, they've got the energy, they've got the intensity, and if Jackson keeps on adding goals to his game, it's going to be something beautiful. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget, smash those like buttons, hit the subscribe buttons, because I'm going to be doing a lot more Chelsea content. Up the Blues.